Hey guys, we're here at Hugon's Farm in southern Ontario. We milk about 260 cows. Right now during the winter months, you milk quite a bit more milk because the feed is very consistent. And as you do a good job, you will produce quite a bit of milk. So, but right now we're over our quota. It's regulated by the government and by the DFO. But the problem is what they don't understand is millions of people look at this milk running away because it's the end of the month. So I have to dump 30,000 liters of milk. It breaks my heart. I will show you. By the way, this here, Canadian milk, it's $7 a liter. When I go for my haircut, people say, wow, $7, Jerry, for a little bit of milk. I say, well, you have to go higher up because we have no say anymore as a dairy farmer on our own farm because they make us dump it. And no matter how we stand up, so this time I'm going public. I want the people to see the pain that us growers have of 365 days. As a little boy, we grew up on a dairy farm, came from Europe, work, and here we are. This is what's happening.
And have another one for everybody.
Come seas of racism, misogyny, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and hate in all its forms. And they're being used by criminals to harm our children. My government will act. And today we're announcing our plan to fight crime, to protect Canadians, and to build communities that are safe, secure, and strong. A plan to make Canada secure, to make Canada strong. Large American online platform.
Today is Friday, December 19th. My name is Miloš Krajšnik. Wanted to begin, today's episode kind of tying into yesterday's with the whole CUSMA talks. As you see, Canadian farmers are feeling the pain, which means that everybody else is going to start feeling the pain when it comes to food prices, dairy specifically, because we're not coming up with a deal with the U.S. To curtail these. And then it seems like the federal government, the Liberal government, is doubling down on the online Security Act that Blackface Justin put into force. So they're really going to be trying to censor wherever they can public voices. It doesn't matter what your opinion is. If it's not curated by the Canadian government, you won't be able to say what you're thinking. But that's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is the complete political turmoil in Quebec on all sides. The Federalist parties are actually taking a beating. Both the Liberal Party in Quebec as well as the CAQ. So it's hilarious because the right and the left in Quebec, the right and the left Federalist parties in Quebec are taking a beating. It's completely just opening the doors. This fracture is just going to open the doors for the Parti Québécois to hold a referendum like they always want to. But getting into this, so Pablo Rodriguez has no regrets after stepping down as Liberal leader. So Pablo Rodriguez, he's actually been the leader of the Quebec Liberals for 6 months. And massive scandal broke out as the Quebec Liberals are being found guilty, or at least they're being charged of wrongdoing of paying back their donors in cash. So just to read it a bit, it says, Pablo Rodriguez says he's standing tall and has no regrets after stepping down as leader of the Quebec Liberal Party amid allegations of wrongdoing during the leadership race he won in June. The former federal cabinet minister publicly announced his resignation at party headquarters in Montreal on Thursday, saying he had become a distraction as the party prepares for a provincial election next year. I took this decision solely out of a sense of duty for my party, which I sincerely love. for Quebec and for my country. He told reporters during a brief press conference he did not take questions. It doesn't really matter whether he's the one that did it or not. Well, I mean, it does to a certain degree because, he can be criminally charged directly. But for PR, right, it doesn't really matter because he was the bridge for that connection between the federal government and Quebec moving into this next election, right? So it's in 2026, there's going to be the election for Quebec, who's going to be the next premier of Quebec. And obviously, having that connection between the federal government and the provincial government is a big deal. Shows cohesion, shows unity. And not having that is just going to be completely detrimental to Mark Carney and his leadership, because whoever takes the reins in Quebec is going to be a big thorn in the side to Mark Carney, and Mark Carney is going to have to be bending over backwards to try and support Quebec, because by the looks of it, the Parti Québécois is going to have a major resurgence in this upcoming election, because everything is just decaying across the board for the Liberals and for the CAQ, right? The Parti Québécois, they've been talking about a referendum, for a referendum push. So this Liberal instability is completely just weakening the Federalist camp in Quebec, right? And I had I think it was here. So this is these are the Quebec national seats in 2022, right? So you can see this is the CAQ and this is the Liberal Party. So together they're just an overwhelming majority, right? So Quebec staying federal. So this is 2022, and this was the Parti Québécois, which is like, I mean, it's literally 6 seats, right? So they were tiny. But that's not going to be the case anymore today. Probably not, at least not in the upcoming election, because of what's happened. And I want to move into these to the next article, as I just touched in here. The next article is Christian Dubé is stepping down as the Quebec health minister, leaving the CAQ. So not only is he stepping down as health minister, he's leaving the CAQ. He's becoming an independent, I believe. So Christian Dubé has resigned from his position as Quebec's Minister of Health and will sit as an independent MNA, delivering a major blow to Premier François Legault's coalition Avenir Quebec Party, the CAQ. He made the announcement Thursday afternoon in a resignation letter he shared on social media. Under the current circumstances, this is a difficult decision that I am making for the good of patients, physicians, and the healthcare network, he wrote in the letter. This is all tied into Bill 2 that was passed in Quebec, and we've seen such turmoil around Bill 2 in Quebec, which I'm going to get into in a second. But apparently he's the second party member from the CAQ that left the CAQ because of Bill 2. So it says the controversial doctor remuneration law known as Bill 2 was adopted under closure in October, process triggered by the CAQ to ensure the bill was passed swiftly with limited debate. It tied a portion of doctors' salaries to meeting certain performance targets, including seeing more patients, and included steep fines for medical professionals who challenged the new policy. It was denounced by medical professionals both inside and outside Quebec. It has also sparked an exodus of doctors from the province seeking work in other provinces. I actually talked about this quite a bit in previous episodes. But I'm gonna get into the exodus of doctors, but real quick, what happened is, so it's, first of all, Quebec has a shortage of doctors, a major shortage of doctors. And actually I have it right here. It says, so primary primary care, I'm just going to expand this a little so everybody can see a little better. And this is just a simple Google search, right? So primary care access. So Quebec has Canada's worst primary care access, with more than 21% of the population lacking a regular healthcare provider. 21% of the population doesn't have a regular healthcare provider, guys. That's a catastrophe. That's a catastrophe. Waiting lists. So approximately 1.5 to 2 million Quebecers are currently on a waiting list for a family doctor through Quebec Family Doctor Finder. Waiting times for non-urgent cases can be years. And then physician exodus. In the last year, 780 general practitioners and specialists left the public system. That's an increase, a 22% increase from the prior year. So it just keeps getting worse for the whole Quebec system, right? In terms of the healthcare system. And so the CAQ messed up so bad that not only are they losing politicians, they're losing doctors. So you can, like, getting healthcare in Quebec is just a catastrophe right now, and it's just getting worse. Like, people are like actively leaving. People can't get healthcare, and their solution wasn't, let's bring in more doctors. Let's make mechanisms to attract doctors to Quebec to fill in this shortage. I did it in a previous episode. I did the math. There's an approximate shortage of 1,000 family physicians in Quebec. They would have full capacity then if they added another 1,000 physicians. So their solution isn't to hire more people, to bring more people in. Their solution is to the people that are there. If you guys don't hit quotas, you're going to be fined, and you won't be paid. Like, that is, I don't even know how to label that, to be honest, but that it's ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous. So we have this article. So Quebec doctor exodus, nearly 200 get licenses to work in Ontario. And obviously anybody of sound mind is going to want to have doctors, want to have more doctors entering their country, right? Entering their province. So just going to play this real quick for you guys.
This weekend, between the government and the family doctors, it was announced after the Premier got involved today in restarting talks with the province's doctors. Now, Caroline, he met with the heads of 2 doctors' federations in Montreal.
Yes, after talks broke off between the Federation of Family Doctors and the government earlier this week, the Premier asked the President of the Federation and the President of the Federation of Specialists to meet with him again today. And this afternoon, they did agree to restart negotiations tonight and go right through the weekend. Here is what the President of the Federation of Quebec General Practitioners said as he was leaving that meeting.
C'est une rencontre productive, une bonne rencontre. Ça nous a permis de réitérer ce sur quoi on s'était entendu la semaine dernière. Et je suis confiant maintenant que les messages vont descendre correctement à la table de négociation. Je suis confiant également qu'on trouve une voie de passage pour solutionner cette crise-là.
So there he is saying it was a good and productive meeting. He's confident now that the message will be transmitted directly and correctly to the negotiating table, and he's confident they can find a solution to the crisis. Now, this all coincides with new numbers that indicate that since Bill 2 was passed, the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Ontario has received 382 applications from Quebec doctors to practice there. 198 of them have so far been granted. And while the data does not disclose the reasons for their applications, the Ontario College says that more than half of them are from Quebec family physicians. The rest are from specialists, some of which do include GPs. Yesterday, we spoke with a doctor in Gatineau with a history of breast cancer who lost her own doctor recently and found out yesterday that her doctor's replacement is also leaving.
I saw this, and just right after, I got a pop-up on my cell phone that I lost my family physician, my family doctor, which I didn't even get a chance to meet him.
And earlier this week, we reported that at least 40 family medicine clinics will be closing their doors if Bill 2 takes effect on January 1st, as it is now. Many patients across the province are becoming anxious, and patients advocate Paul Brunet says patients' representatives groups across the province are reporting that half their members are afraid of what will happen with their family doctor, and the other half want more information. So he says that proves the government has just not properly explained how this bill is supposed to grant people faster access to a family doctor.
People just don't want to deal with this shit. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, you have a shortage of doctors in the first place, right? And you're passing a bill trying to force people to work more, longer hours, basically for the same amount of money. That's not how it works. You want to alleviate pressure, not add more pressure on your existing workforce. Anybody that made this bill hasn't managed human beings ever in their life, because no one in their right mind is going to do that. Like, there's no financial incentive for you to work harder. Not only that, they're going to penalize you if you complain about it, $20,000. Get out of here. No one's going to deal with that. No one wants to hear about it. And that's exactly what's happening. They're all leaving. And the worst thing is that both of these situations that are happening in Quebec is just creating such a political turmoil in such an amazing province with such amazing people. I love going to Quebec. I love going to Montreal. Been there a million times. Been in Quebec City. I love Quebec City. Just a wonderful place. And now we're opening the doors for referendums and stupid things like that. And honestly, just people shouldn't be treated like this in general. Like, it's just an awful, it's just so short-sighted. Whenever you open an article, practically in Canadian news, everything always just seems to be so extremely short-sighted that you can't fathom like what's wrong with people. Like, why do they continually elect to treat people like this? You know what I mean? So this is just explaining a little bit more about Bill 2 for everybody. It says the Quebec government adopted Bill 2 legislation to overhaul compensation for doctors in the province, introducing what critics describe as Soviet-style monitoring and fines up to $20,000 a day for concerted action protesting the changes. As a result, more than 1,000 physicians in Quebec City did just that, with more protests planned in other cities. 3 physicians with province's health authority resigned. So did Quebec's social services minister, whose daughter, a specialist in maternal fetal medicine, wrote an open letter in Le Devoir saying she is considering leaving a deeply broken health system to practice in Ontario. This is what I mean. So what is Bill 2 in Quebec? Bill 2 imposes a new contract on Quebec physicians who have not had a collective agreement since March 2023. Under this new law, 10% of physicians' salaries will be tied to performance targets set by the province, with payments clawed back if they don't meet them. Some of the targets include ensuring 75% of emergency department patients are seen within 90 minutes and 97% of surgeries are completed within a year of assessment. The contract also imposes capitation on family physicians, paying them a fixed sum per patient. There's currently a shortage of approximately 1,200 practitioners, general practitioners in Quebec. So they're forcing you to do more, like ensuring that 75% of an emergency department patients are seen within 90 minutes. You need to have staff for that. If you don't have staff, only 2 things can happen. People either aren't going to be, they're just not going to be checked up properly. Or if you actually try and enforce the 75% within 90 minutes, the most likely event for doctors to actually try and achieve that kind of a quota is that people are just going to be treated half-assed. Like, you know what I mean? You're going to be treated like cattle. Like, oh, here, get out, let's get the next guy in, and it's going to be a revolving door. And so this is why they're leaving, and they should be leaving, because it's a catastrophe. Like, why would you want to treat anybody like this, right? And I wanted to show you guys this. So this is the latest Quebec polls. And as we can see, we have the Parti Québécois is by far in the lead. So the popular vote projection is that the PQ is going to get 38%. The Liberals are going to get 22%. And this is the CAQ. So what a fall off. What a fall off. From that majority in the Quebec Parliament to 16%. That's just a catastrophe. And the seat projection is a majority for the PQ. So I don't know what's going to happen in Quebec. We haven't. So these are just more odds. And this is a pretty cool graph, kind of showing since 2022 how the parties have actually fared in Quebec. And we can see the PQ was down. We had good federalism, in 2022. The Liberals were kind of the CAQ was really strong. The Liberals have been kind of stable. They kind of lifted off. Now they're going to be tanking because of this situation that's happened. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Quebec's going to be an interesting province in the upcoming days. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm actually very curious to see what your guys' opinions on what's happening in Quebec and how do you guys see the events in Quebec unfolding. Please like, share, and subscribe. My name is Miloš Krajčnik. Stay informed, stay curious, and God bless Canada.
This is Canada. Maple syrup and La Cabot. Kick your ass all hockey season.